A new student has transferred to your school, and he seems to be a little different than everyone else. We start things off by meeting Sakura Koji. Yes, her last name is actually just her first name with a Koji on the end. She is riding the bus home one night when she suddenly sees a group of men seemingly burning to death in a circle. And at the center is a boy, completely unharmed, who slowly turns to her, making eye contact. She tells the driver to stop the bus and shortly after finds a policeman, telling him to come with her to the park. However, after they arrive, there is not a single trace of anything having occurred. The policeman points out that the scorch marks on the ground most likely just belong to some homeless guy, having built a fire. That's a pretty big fire for one homeless guy to have made. Sakura remains adamant about what she saw. The next day at school, while absolutely beating ass, she reminisces on what she saw the previous night, and the person she saw standing in the center. Afterwards, while walking through the school, we hear how enamored all the students in her school are with her. She's got it all. Smarts, looks, she's the most popular girl in school and has a good work ethic. Her friend Aoba Takatsu runs up to her, and they make their way to class together. On their way, they are introduced to a new transfer student that will be attending her classes, who is revealed to be none other than the boy she saw in the park last night, Rei Ogami. After their classes together, Sakura confronts Rei, telling him that she wants to speak to him alone. This is apparently the biggest gossip ever in the school, and everyone starts losing their minds, thinking that she is going to declare her love for him. Sakura accuses him of being the one that she saw in the park last night, although he has a pretty good alibi stating that he was just simply at his job. She thinks that he is using the glove on his hand to cover up the burns he received, but when he takes it off, we see that he has no marks, and tells her that the glove simply has sentimental value to him. Not being fully convinced, Sakura observes him throughout the day, when she loses track of him as school ends. Thinking that criminals always return to the scene of the crime, she goes back to the park, and while waiting for Rei, she feeds a stray dog when Rei actually shows up. They chat briefly about the homeless man that the stray dog used to belong to, who was killed by a gang of thugs known as G-Falcon, and what it means to judge the actions of criminals who somehow evade the justice system. The next day after school, Sakura again feeds the stray dog in the park, when she sees another man getting attacked by the same gang of thugs mentioned earlier, the G-Falcon, who all have these cute little matching tattoos. Aww. She steps in intervening, and they begin attacking her, and she does a pretty damn good job defending herself until one of them pulls out a taser, stunning her and knocking her to the ground. Trying to protect Sakura, the stray dog charges in, managing to keep them off her for a short period of time. Unfortunately though, and I'm not going to show this, the dog gets severely injured by the gang members. Horrified by this, Sakura runs over, putting herself between the gang and the dog. They beat her aside and the leader pulls out a knife, threatening her life. Just then, Rei suddenly appears, and after analyzing the dog, somberly realizes that there is nothing more anyone can do to save her, and then puts her out of her misery, which I will also not show. He then turns to the gang members, and after making an example of the one that hurt the dog the most, he presents to them an ultimatum. Either they turn themselves over to the authorities, or they die. They attack him, choosing the second option for themselves, and Rei happily obliges with their decision, using his blue flames to kill them all. Rei then walks up to a completely shook Sakura, and uses his flames to also kill her. Except not really, as she wakes up the next day in her bed. Later on, while walking to school, she goes by the park from the night before, finding no evidence of burn marks at all. Once at school, Sakura remains highly cautious of Rei, despite him acting as if nothing had transpired between them from the night before. She is worried that if she makes a scene about last night, he will just burn her and everyone around them away. After their classes, Rei follows Sakura around school, which causes her to avoid Aoba in an attempt to protect her from Rei, who she still doesn't understand the motive of. We then cut to a man who is pretty cracked at the claw machine, taking one very specific kind of stuffed toy out, but he walks out of the arcade without taking any of them, saying that he doesn't need to take them because they're safe now. Yes, safe. On the floor. As he walks the streets, he finds a giant mascot in the shape of one of those previous toys, and he seems to be a big fan of it. He is then given a picture of a man and is told by the mascot to get to work, and we learn his name is Yuki Tenpoin, and his title is Codebreaker 3. After school, Sakura tells Rei that she wants to talk with him, and she takes him to a populated area so he can't pull any tricks, where she confronts him about the previous night, wanting to know the truth that if what she remembers really did happen. He emotionlessly tells her that she's right, he did kill them all. And they then have an argument on the moral implications of him thinking that he is above the law by murdering the gang, with Sakura saying that he should turn himself in. Rei then tells her that he doesn't think he's above the law, he is outside of it. He doesn't exist in any sort of legal system. He then attempts to burn Sakura away, stating that he eliminates all witnesses. She tries to run away, but he quickly catches up, stating that it was just a prank bro, and was only kidding. Sick prank man, really got her there. He then explains to her the nature of his place in the world, that being a codebreaker, which is one who passes judgment on evildoers, via means that would be considered evil to the rest of the world. Sakura then states that she is going to be watching him, to make sure he doesn't kill any more people. He says alright bet, but warns her that if she tells anyone about his secret, he will kill them. Afterwards, Rei receives a phone call from an unknown individual, asking him why he's not gotten rid of her yet, when he admits that she is known as a rare breed, and his flames wouldn't have any effect on her. Elsewhere we see Yuki, finding the man he was given a picture of earlier, who seems to have the power of electricity. They chat briefly before their battle begins, with Yuki using his power of producing massive sound waves to send a blast at the man, which is blocked by an ice sheet rising from the ground. And we see another person, with the power of making and controlling ice, who sends some ice shards at Yuki, who manages to destroy them before the pair disappear. The next day at school, due to their desires to both observe and monitor each other, Sakura finds her locker completely stuffed with love letters from her fellow students, as everyone continues to think that they're both romantically involved with each other, even though that really couldn't be further from the truth. However, jealousy of their perceived relationship turns to violence when this dude goes to attack Rei, and Sakura, worried that Rei will have no chill and make this guy super crispy, intervenes, telling everyone to take no actions against him, which doesn't help with the whole everyone thinking they're together thing. Afterwards, Sakura is showing Rei to where the student council is located, when one of her friends, Fujiwara, runs up to her and is happy to see her. She then takes off her glasses, revealing that both of her eyes are different colors. This sends Rei into a rage and he grabs Fujiwara by the face, intending to burn her, but then transitions into a little head pat, apologizing and saying he mistook her for someone else. Meanwhile, a mysterious boy receives a phone call and is preparing to team up with someone for a job, and we see his eyes are also mismatched. Elsewhere, later in the day, Rei is on the phone being told that everything is in place for tonight. As he hangs up, he calls out to Sakura, who has been watching him from afar, calling her over. He picks up the basket nearby, pulling out a puppy belonging to the stray dog in the park that died trying to protect her, giving it to her as a gift. Sakura then follows along with him, going to where she thinks is his apartment. However, as he opens the door, it quickly becomes apparent that this ain't his home, and is in fact a local office belonging to members of the Yakuza and 2 corrupt policemen. After beating his way through the front door, which impresses the main boss man, Rei is offered the job peddling and selling the drugs that the G-Falcon gang used to sell for them, as one of the policemen aimed their gun at Sakura, saying that now she has seen them, she can't be allowed to live. Rei, however, has a small counteroffer, which he explains delicately so the boss doesn't get hot-headed. He wouldn't want the situation to get heated. Fire. Rei proceeds to kill all of the members there, including the 2 corrupt officers. Afterwards, Sakura is angered by all of the deaths, and tells him that there must have been a way to settle this which didn't involve killing them. But Rei says bitch how, and she doesn't really have an answer. They then find a room with several victims of the drug that the Yakuza have been selling. Sakura goes in and tries to talk to the one that's conscious, trying to save her, when the victim tells her that she's got nothing left, and would rather be dead. Rei says bet, grabbing her by the throat, preparing to kill her, when she changes her mind, declaring that she wants to live. Rei gives some inspiring words to them before leaving. It wasn't really inspiring. It was kind of fucked up. He then knocks out Sakura and makes his way down to the car waiting outside the Yakuza office, which has the corrupt chief of police inside. The chief realizes that Rei is a codebreaker, pulling out his gat, shooting at him before driving off. Rei gives chase, and as he gets on the hood of the car, the mysterious boy from earlier shows up, who, using his powers of magnetism, blows up the car along with the corrupt officers inside. We then jump to sometime later that night, with Rei appearing before Eden, which is the Codebreaker Policy Government Board, where he is given his next job, to assassinate a politician named Tabata Shigeru. In the morning, Sakura wakes up out the front of her house and is questioned by her parents about what's been going on with her lately. And her excuse is that she's joined the mountaineering club at school and is practicing sleeping outside for it. Genius. As she walks off for school, her parents reflect that they see through her lies, but thinks that she must be doing it for a good cause. As she walks outside her house, she finds the dude with the magnetic powers waiting there for her, who walks her to school, and we find out that he is Toki, Codebreaker 4. However, as they sit down to talk about Rei, he finds them, and they almost immediately begin fighting, having no chill about using their abilities in broad daylight. Sakura, however, puts a stop to their fighting, and Toki leaves. Sometime later at school, during her class, she looks out the window and sees Toki walking around. She dismisses herself from class by saying that she feels unwell and goes to find out what he's doing here. Rei also does the same thing and they find him in the courtyard, when they're all discovered by a teacher. Toki tells her that he is here today to check out the school, and is for some reason allowed to stay for the day. During lunch, it is revealed that Toki's older sister is actually Fujiwara, as if the eyes weren't enough of an indication. Later that night, Sakura continues to follow Rei around when she again ends up accidentally tagging along to a job involving Toki, who uses his powers to disable the alarm systems and opens up the front doors of a complex. Rei and Toki walk through the entrance with Sakura following close behind. After making far enough of the way in, the guards begin to try and light them up. However, due to his magnetic abilities, he stops them dead in their tracks. Except, bullets aren't generally magnetic, so this probably should have ended a lot worse for him. Anyway, just as he's about to turn the bullets around, intending to shoot them back at the men, Sakura tackles him, not wanting them to die, when a tornado suddenly appears, turning the men into what seem like stone, just as two guards, wearing large backpacks of some kind, jump out, which allows them to have the special abilities of controlling wind and water. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It only takes a second and it really helps me out.